What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Movement Mindset powered by Station Athletics. I'm Chris Hardenberg here with Dave Whitson. And today we're going to be talking about an interesting topic. It was actually sent to me by Joe a while back, talking about it was a snapshot. Oh, you know what it was? It was Gary Vee posted something. And it was basically like it said, hey, fall in love with the pursuit of the goal instead of the goal itself. And I thought that was a really interesting topic to talk about because a lot of people, whether it's in business, sports, life in general, a lot of times people cook up these goals and whether they accomplish it or not is like their entire life's work. And then often when they accomplish the goal, it's like this humongous letdown of like, that's it.
Yep.
And so I wanted to kind of touch on that and talk about it and then relay it to how that relates to what we do in the gym from both a business owner and a gym goer perspective.
Okay.
So in your experience, Dave, like how does that saying ring true?
Nothing's as good as you make it to be in your mind.
Mm.
It just never is. It never lives, especially if you spend a long time pursuing something and then you end up making it kind of the answer for all your problems,
Right.
which happens a lot. Like if I just do this, it will be better. If I just make $500 more per month, if I just get that other job, if I just, whatever it happens to be, we make it up to be this answer to too many things.
Mm.
And the truth is, most of the time, it's not. The juice isn't as good as the squeeze, so to
Yeah.
speak, right? And it's also time-wise, you spend way more time in the work to accomplish a goal than the goal itself. When the goal happens, the next day it's over.
Right.
It's done. So one of my favorite quotes, or one of my favorite interviews I ever saw was Tom Brady was interviewed after he won. I don't even know what Super Bowl it was.
Yeah.
Which number, right? All I know is he would have two more if it wasn't for the Giants. That's all I know.
Got him.
Yep. And now Nas is going to yell at me. Funny story. That's how Nas found out I was a Giants fan, was the first Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
Oh, I stayed out of sports forever because she's so intense about it.
I
Hilarious.
think you told me about this actually.
Oh yeah, at my house with no support for her whatsoever. Magically, Manning learns how to scramble a little bit somehow, some way.
It was honestly maybe the most miraculous thing outside of the birth of my children. Maybe the most maybe the most miraculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Like
The fact that he
the
just
man
did
was a statue and just happened to wiggle out.
No.
And David Tyree, we actually met him because we played in the state championship in high school that year. Long story. He's from Montclair. Like
Yep.
he was a nobody.
Normal dude.
And he just catches it on his head.
Yeah. Well, Nas' belief is that God ordained that catch. And the only way you can beat the Patriots is that God did not want the
ordained
Patriots to win.
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah.
then why didn't God want the Patriots to win? Go down this whole rabbit hole there.
Uh,
So what do you call it? Brady has won, I forget how many rings, and like hold up the hand, it has all the rings on it or whatever. And the reporter's like, how does it feel? And he goes, not as good as I thought.
hmm.
And the next week he went back to watching film.
Yeah.
And the dude is at the pinnacle of sport for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people will still be talking about him, no matter whatever happens, like his end of his career stuff. You'll never be able to forget the dynasty that he was part of. Especially, was he second or third string quarterback?
Well, he was second because Drew Bledsoe got hurt and then he played.
Yeah, he came in, and you watch his videos of when he was at like the football. You're like, is this dude really the Tom Brady?
Yeah.
And so,
He was a mush.
yep. But what made him so good is that all the stuff outside the game, he did everything he could to elevate inside the actual game.
Yeah.
So he is so bought into the process that he doesn't feel right unless he's doing the process.
Right.
He's the extreme of it. I'm not sure. I forget it was Netflix or Facebook did a special on him, and it was preseason, and the game wasn't that good. He got home from the game, said hello to his family, and then went to the room and watched film.
Yeah.
It's probably why he's not married anymore.
Probably why. Yeah.
It's probably why, right? But for him, even winning a Super Bowl, you would think like winning the Super Bowl is like that's the whole thing you dream of from the time you're a little kid playing football. And he said it wasn't as good as he thought it would be.
Right.
It's so, if you talk to anyone that's hyper successful, we all believe that the happiest moments for them was when they achieved X, whatever it happened to be. And when they talk, it's really just all the lessons and the experiences leading up to that moment.
Right.
It's most of the not giving up and staying in the pursuit of the goal. It's not the goal itself.
Yeah.
Because most of us also see people as overnight successes,
Mhm.
not the fact that it took them 20 years to get to that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
KFC, the guy sold his recipe when he was 67 years old. His whole life he tried to sell it. What's crazy is he had that recipe because he grew up so broke that he would have to cook like squirrel, rabbit, wherever he could. And so he'd play with seasonings to make sure his siblings would eat to make it taste good.
Interesting.
Wild,
Yeah.
right? But again, for him, he didn't hit the goal till he was 67.
Right.
And it was everything else before it was what made his life fulfilling. Because once
Yeah.
the goal happens, you have
Well,
to have something next.
well, and that's exactly it. Is like a lot of these, again, these ultra successful people, it's like they hit the goal, and then because of the fact that it's like, well, that's it, and then it's like, I guess I got to go do it again, and you get caught in this cycle. Now, again, that's why, not maybe the whole reason, but part of the reason why people get to a certain point is some of them are sick in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the people who are ultra successful that enjoy it the most are the ones who simply enjoy doing the thing,
Yeah.
right? Like they're striving to achieve the ultimate goal, whether it's a championship of some sort, a $10 million business, whatever. So they have that goal and they want to keep going for it. But when they achieve it, they want to get back to work, not because they have to go find that high again, but because it's like, I love this so much. Why would I do anything else?
I think the separator is that along the way, you learn that the value system and the discipline you gain in the pursuit is way more fulfilling than any momentary kind of goal or celebration,
Right.
right? Even something as simple as strict pull-ups.
Mhm.
If someone doesn't have strict pull-ups and they've never had strict pull-ups, the will and the determination and the discipline that they worked on strict pull-ups, something they'd never had their whole life, to get a strict pull-up, the lessons learned from that journey is way more important than the first time they got a strict pull-up. First time strict pull-up is what everyone's going to cheer,
Right.
but the value system, the discipline, and also kind of the teaching yourself you're not going to quit on yourself
Yeah.
is way more important than the goal because it applies to other areas.
Yeah, and it's funny because the opposite of that is also true. So what I mean by that is there are some goals that you can put everything into and you just don't get there for one reason or another, right?
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah.
And if your entire life is based on that goal, you crumble. I was actually that person for a while. So we mentioned it on different podcasts. I don't know what order they're coming out, but I was a wrestler for a long time. One of my goals in college was to go to the national championships and be an All-American. And I literally, my senior year, I had the worst tournament maybe of my career on the worst day. At conferences, 0-2, done.
Mhm.
You could ask Tiff, I wasn't the same for months.
Yeah.
Months. And it was because it was like my my foundation was not strong
Mhm.
because that's what I was for so long. And for a lot of people, it can be that. And is like, okay, I haven't accomplished the goal, as opposed, I heard it somewhere. Oh, you know who was, Max El-Haj?
Yeah.
So he runs Training Think Tank. He once said he was like that, where it was like everything was
Yeah.
super goal oriented. And he's like, I'm still goal oriented, but I'm focused more on the process because I found that if I was only focused on the outcome, I was just failing every single day until I accomplished that outcome.
Mhm.
And I thought that was so insightful to be like, you're literally just coming up short every single day.
All the time.
And so if you don't learn to be enjoying the process or the actual act you're trying to get
Mhm.
to for that goal, then what fun is that?
Yeah, you're just miserable all the time until you have to win in order to be happy in any way,
Yes. And
which
then
is
you
really rough.
and then you win and you're happy for about a day and then it's right back.
Yeah, the next day you wake up, it's all over. Celebration's done.
So if you're someone who, let's go with gym goers first. If you're someone who's at one of our gyms, how would this apply to that journey?
So I think it's not getting tired of the repeated part of the process, right? The little things that, okay, so you go to class, okay, get the class a little bit early. Okay, make sure I actually eat food before I go to class. Because there's some people that don't eat all day and then
Right.
show up to class and you can see it because they turn into a ghost as soon as their heart rate goes up.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm like, are you okay? They're like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, are you sure? Are you doing
Their
it?
eyes are like this big. They're like this.
I think people get tired of doing the little things because they're so focused on, I haven't hit this yet, so everything else gets tossed out.
Mm.
And then also for different, whether it's physical goals in the sense of body transformation stuff or even getting better at a specific movement, all that takes more time than people realize.
Right.
So we completely overestimate what we can do in 3 weeks. We completely underestimate what we can do in 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you get dedicated to the process over just the goal, you'll have the habits that eventually get you to the goal. And then if you realize that goal is not for you, you have all the habits and the discipline to shift to something else
Yeah.
because you don't mind to do it. I mean, one thing I had to learn, I never studied in school. I was that guy.
Whoa, you're about to piss some people off.
I know, but it caught up to me my junior year of college. It
Okay.
hit me like a truck. And what I didn't realize is that I was supposed to do all this studying, all this repetitive stuff, not because I needed to do it to learn for the test, but I needed to do it to build the discipline of the habit of doing hard work, which I think also what part of what Google has wrecked is
Right.
young kids, right? It's
Right.
microwave mentality versus oven mentality,
Yeah.
right? Heat up food in an oven or 90 seconds in a microwave. Maybe it's people don't understand it. Maybe it's a cultural thing, but the process lends the more benefits over your life than the goal has a tendency to.
Yeah, it's funny because, as you were talking about the timeline thing, Dave knows I like Alex Hormozy and I like his stuff, but he has something he's put out there where he says, "There's nothing wrong with your goal, there's something wrong with your timeline."
Yeah.
And it's so true. It's like you how you put it is, and I don't know why as human beings we do it. We overestimate what we can accomplish in a short window and
Yeah.
underestimate what we can accomplish in a long window. And so being realistic on those timelines, but that's something that I know Joe and I have talked about before. I know I've talked to general managers about before is like, and why I feel so strongly about our gyms being fulfillment centers in the
Mhm.
sense of helping people feel so fulfilled, and why I love doing what I do is because if you can learn, listen, what we do in the gym is hard.
Yes.
It's hard, and
Mhm.
it's also hard because working out is not is uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and for your body doesn't want to change. It wants what's called homeostasis. I just
Yeah.
want to stay the way I am. And so it's like you have to work hard to change it.
Mhm.
And if you can go in each and every day and do the things you need to do in the gym, and then go home and do the things you need to do with your nutrition and your lifestyle, and slowly over time start to make changes to make that progress, that discipline maps to other areas of your life.
Yeah. The greatest adaptation to what we do is between the ears
100%.
because it just like there was weird research on people that work out hard where it showed that they increased their income more in the next 5 years than people who didn't work out,
Right.
which is kind of a weird thing to think about, but it's just a discipline, sticking to your habits, sticking to a routine, doing stuff that you don't like to do in the moment,
Yeah.
but you know it's good for your future self.
That was something like, again, to go back to my sports background of wrestling, that was something that when I was a kid, coaches would say, right? Like, but I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to win, right? But looking back, it's like most of that sport is predicated on uncomfortable things, right?
Yeah.
A
Wrestling's rough,
like
yes.
I wear no clothes, which makes people very uncomfortable sometimes. The sport is predicated around I need to bend your body until it doesn't bend anymore, so you flip to your back.
Yeah, I have to
That's
break you.
right, that's uncomfortable. And then there's also the weight aspect, right?
Oh,
Like
it's hard, coach.
cutting weight, stuff like that. And so
Chewing gum all day, spitting to
yeah,
make weight.
but again, that I think for me has mapped to
Oh, yeah.
adult life.
Well, look at all the people that were good collegiate wrestlers and stuff, how they did other things.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, military, a lot of these top tier guys take what they learned, disciplined, and turn it into other things.
right.
I forget how many people that were part of tier one that went on to start their own companies that are successful. It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's a great segue in terms of starting companies, right? When it comes to gym owners, that's what I find is sometimes odd is like they're so comfortable. A lot of gym owners, and this is a blanket statement, so take it for what it's
It's a
worth,
generality. We're talking in
generality,
generalities. Yeah.
but there's a lot of gym owners that are totally comfortable working out, which is an uncomfortable thing, but will then not do what they need to do from the business side because it's uncomfortable for them.
Most gym owners didn't get into the gym business because they love numbers.
Right.
It's not why they got into it. There's some investor people, but in general, the trainer, the coach, the person that loves working out never thought of all the other stuff.
Right.
They just thought about helping people do what they love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, it's funny when I hired Dave, one of the things he said, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, because and if you if you
You-
do, we'll cut it.
Yeah.
Is he's like, you know, it's cool. He said it's cool for me to see what you're doing now because when I first met you, like I was a 24-year-old, 25-year-old kid just coaching class. And
Yeah.
like I just thought like that this is it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I gradually moved to doing individual design stuff. Then
Yeah.
I gradually moved to running Roseland. Then I gradually, and so it was like a build over time. Like I've been in the fitness industry now for 10 years, right? I know that's not a long time for some people, but that was one of the things Dave said was like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I got to see you from the very beginning to what we're doing now.
He had a lot of hopes and dreams of coaching and how incredible everything was gonna be just coaching.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you gotta ramp up from there, and you have, and then you've created opportunities for other people to ramp up from it.
Right. And I
Right.
think from a gym owner perspective, um, for me, the mental switch was when I started to look at the business as my new sport or as a
Oh, yeah.
game,
Yeah.
right? And when I started to look for PRs on memberships,
Mhm.
PRs on revenue, PRs on service offerings, like
Yeah.
PRs on that stuff versus just on the barbell
Yeah.
is when things got way more fun for me.
And think about how often it is you don't hit your goals in business
Oh my
or
gosh.
how long it takes because it's not linear at all.
No.
It's not linear. It's just it can bounce up and down. There's outside scenarios that you can't control, sinkholes and highways,
Dude, so
whatever,
annoying.
world lockdowns, whatever you
JJ,
need to do.
oh my gosh, we're not even gonna get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, JJ, it's like for those of you that don't know, this podcast will come out after we open the gym in Ledgewood,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Great location on Route 10, the whole nine. Our pre-sale, it's going fine, and Shannon and Dylan are working really
Mhm.
hard. I would be naive to say it has not been affected by the sinkholes.
Oh, yeah, it definitely has. You can see the messaging.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we know. But we can't control that, and so the discipline and the pursuit, side is, well, maybe my goal of this before the door's opening has to change because this is happening,
mhm,
but it doesn't change what we need to do daily
yes.
to make sure the gym's a success and the people are a success inside of it.
Yeah, and I think those habits, like you said, in enjoying the process for me, in my journey, and I'm not gonna speak to anyone else because I think weight loss can very much be like this for some people. But from a gym owner perspective, I found it to be the hardest because you could hit a snag in again, we'll use sports as an example. You were a hockey player, and you can just throw like more time at the issue. Like
Uh-huh.
I've struggled with stick handling, so I'm gonna spend more time doing that, right? I really struggle with shot defense, so I'm gonna spend more time doing that, right? In business, it's like the target moves and you're in the dark and blindfolded. And so it's like,
Yeah,
I think this is what's gonna get us to the next level. So I'm gonna put this time out over
and there's
here.
delay until when you know it's really
Yeah,
yeah.
and then 3 to 6 months later, you're like, "Well, that was wrong."
Whoops. Time to turn this whole ship over.
Yeah.
Right. Here, this is gonna be a funny example because you and I are married. You're not. Marriage,
Yeah, oh,
your pursuit of being the type of husband that you wanna be, will you ever arrive there?
probably not.
You might have glimpses of it,
Right.
but it doesn't change the fact that you have to have joy in, like, the middle stages of it,
Yeah,
right?
pursuing your wife.
Yeah, all that, it holds true in every category of your life,
Right.
and without expecting, what's the best way to put this? Just because I did 1 day of hard work doesn't mean I get the return the next day.
Yes.
Whether it's working out, business, your job, wherever it is, it's not how it works. Relationships, it's just not how it works.
Right.
When that's where also the process and that pursuit side is important and understanding that.
Yeah, and guys, what I really wanna
Free relationship advice for you, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what? That was free, just for you.
Free.
I'll remember that for the rest of my life. Don't
I
worry.
normally charge a cup of coffee for stuff like that.
Next time he's gonna be like, "Sit down, young JJ."
Well, how old are you?
23.
So Nas and I started dating November 16th, 2001.
Yeah, you guys have been together for longer than I've been alive.
Yes.
Or no, sorry, I was born a month before you met.
Yeah, I can tell you all sorts of stuff not to do.
What I was gonna say is that, like, for people who are going to the gym, just to kind of summarize what we're saying, right? Like, losing weight is hard.
Yeah.
Building muscle is hard.
Mhm.
Learning a muscle up is hard.
Yep.
You know, learning how to do your first toes to the bar is hard,
Mhm.
right? And so I want to encourage you guys because it's really easy, especially with something like weight loss,
Mhm.
right? To convince yourself that if I just lose these 20 pounds, I'll be good.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I do want to encourage you to do that because from a physiological standpoint, that's going to
It's
be
good for you.
best, right? So don't hear me wrong. But once you get to that point, enjoying it and looking for the next goal and mapping over those things that you learned because you just learn to enjoy working hard at the process, being in the gym, seeing your friends, eating right and how you feel eating right.
Yeah.
is what's going to be really important that maps to your life. And then if you're a gym owner, it's the same thing. It's like somehow teaching yourself, whether it's something like me, where it's like, all right, I gamify everything, right? Or whatever works for you, finding a way to be like, okay, how do I enjoy being the owner?
Mhm.
How do I enjoy serving my members in this way so that I can chip away at these goals, but not get eaten and swallowed whole as I do it. So thanks for listening, guys. As always, like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Instagram. Give us a 5-star rating on the podcast platform you listen on. We'll see you at the gym.